Hello everyone, today we're going to be making this awesome snowy village which doubles as kind of a greeting card, something to put on a mantle. Get out a sheet of blue construction paper with the longest sides on the top and the bottom, and we're going to start by folding the top two corners down. So let's go ahead and grab those two, fold it down in half, and that's going to give you a nice rectangle. We're not going to cut this or anything like that. I know we've done that in the past. We're just going to leave it folded, just like so. Okay, now that you got a nice crease, let's get out any scrap paper that you may have. If you don't, go ahead and get out your construction paper. I would say 7 or 8 different colors would be great. Just use whatever you have and make the best with it. All right, now you can choose whatever colors you want for your snowy village buildings. I'm going to start with an orange, and I'm going to start with a brand new sheet of paper. I'm just going to cut out a rectangle. Now for this project, I highly recommend using scraps, but just to kind of cover my bases, I'll be using both scraps and sheets of paper. You want rectangles of various widths and various sizes. Not all the buildings should be the exact same shape, so some of mine are going to be shorter, some of mine are going to be taller, and that's going to give our artwork a sense of variety, which really is going to help our village look a lot better. So you can see that I'm laying this yellow rectangle flat because I want that different shape. I want to have that variety. And it looks like I'm going to fit in a total of 5 different buildings. Orange, green, yellow, purple, and the last one is going to be in this light blue color. But looky here, my purple and my light blue buildings are exactly the same height. I'm going to vary that up by trimming my light blue building down to make it a little bit shorter and keep that variety in there. Great, so I've got all of these buildings, different shapes, different heights, some short, some wide. Now what I want you to do is I want you to fold just a little bit of the top down to give yourself a roof. This is going to be a spot where we're later going to add some snow with white paint, but for this part I just want you to fold it. And notice that we haven't even glued anything down yet. That's important because we want to make sure that the buildings that we have created and cut out for ourselves, they fit on the blue paper. So go ahead, building by building, fold a little bit of the paper down for a small flap for a building roof. They don't have to be perfect or anything, just do your best. All right, our next step is to grab a marker, and we're not going to be coloring on anything. We're just going to be dragging the marker across the tops of the buildings. Now the reason for this is because we want a super crisp fold. We want the flaps of our building roofs to just kind of fall down. We don't want them flipping up too far. And by really pushing down with some firmness, we can create a crisp fold on each one of our buildings. And what this is going to do is this is going to keep those folds down, especially when we add some snow with paint on the top. It's going to make the overall artwork look a lot better. All right, now that you've done that, let's move on to our next step. And our next step is, of course, gluing. So get out a glue stick, take off the cap, roll up the glue just a little bit, and on the back of each one of your buildings, apply a good amount of glue. Now, of course, if all that you have is the white glue that you squeeze out, then use that glue. Make sure to dot, not a lot. Don't put on too much, but for this project, I'm highly suggesting a glue stick. Go one by one down each of your buildings and glue it on so that it fits very, very well right on the blue paper. Now that we have our buildings nice and glued on, our next step is to decorate our buildings with windows. Now we're only going to have enough time for the first 3, so let's start with a scrap piece of white paper. And we're going to draw 2 windows for our orange building. Those windows are going to be pretty simple, as you can see. I got to make them small so they fit on the building. And what I'm going to do is draw a square with a small plus sign on the inside of our building. So I'm going to draw 2 windows. Now you don't have to do exactly like I'm doing. If you want to add windows that are a little bit larger, that's great. If you want to add more windows than just 2, that's also great. Cut them out, and I want you to cut them out with some space around your windows. Don't cut them out directly right on the lines that you've drawn for yourself. Give them a little bit of white paper all the way around. And again, I want you to express yourself artistically. That's very important. So if you don't want to use white paper, don't. Now, what I would rather you not do is, I know that some students, they like just drawing the windows right on the building. I think this is going to look a lot better if you actually use another sheet of paper, draw the windows, cut them out, and then glue them on. As you can see here, I'm leaving some space around each of my windows, and it's now time to glue them on super quick. So let me grab my glue stick one more time, and I'm just going to rub the windows on the sticky part of my glue stick. Just kind of wipe it on there, and then press it right onto my building. Again, if you want to add different kinds of windows, some different features on your building, I'm always good with that. I like the detail and creativity of adding more than one simple feature on a building. Always be sure to hold the glued windows down for just about 10 seconds, nice and still, so that they stay in place. And now the next step is get out a marker or a thin pen, and I want you to draw a rectangle that floats just above the bottom of your building. That's because we're going to cover the bottom later with some snow. So I'm just going to draw a rectangle with a little doorknob, a tiny circle. And then what I can do is I'm going to go back into my bag of scrap papers. I'm going to get out a pink paper, and these windows are going to be for my green building. Now these windows I'm going to make just a little bit different. They're not going to be squares. I want to give it some variety. Remember, variety is what we're trying to work with here. So creating variety, I'm going to draw these very specific windows. It's a rectangle with two parallel lines. That means that they're horizontal, they go side to side. And then a little line, a vertical line underneath that with a circle. And then it's called a windowsill on the bottom, which is a flat rectangular shape on the bottom of the window. And we're doing these because we want to create variety. These windows are going to have a shade, a pull string that pulls down a window shade. Now cut these out, and just like you did with the orange building, I want you to very carefully leave some space around the outside of the windows just to give it a cool little accent. Pop some color on your green building with these pink windows. Glue them on by wiping them onto your glue stick, and make sure that you hold them down onto your building for at least 10 seconds. That way they stick nice and good. Also, you don't want to put them too high in your building because we don't want any of our buildings hiding underneath the roof. So make sure that you put your windows somewhere where they can be seen, even if the roof is placed flat down. That's pretty much all the time we have for today. Great work. We're going to continue decorating the rest of our buildings and adding the snow next week. That's all I've got for today, and I will see you next time.